evening and welcome to Journeys with Judy. I am your host, Judy Porter, and I am an energy practitioner with an active practice at Journeys Holistic Health and Wellness Center in York, PA, and I also work 1 day a week at Etheric Connections Crystal Shop and Healing Center in Gettysburg.
What day a week?
Tuesdays. I am in Gettysburg. So if you're interested in having a session with me, Jen will let you know how to get in touch with me. We are here in Spring Grove, Pennsylvania for our very last show of 2018. And I know some of you may be sitting here going, well, wait a minute. You've already interviewed KatyeAnna. We have already interviewed KatyeAnna, and if you watch that interview, the last 10 minutes, we were able to meet Anna. Tonight, we're going to have a whole hour of Anna. So, this show is
You want me to go away right away?
No, not right away. This show is going to be different than shows we've done in the past. We've done a lot of questions, finding out backgrounds and things like that. With this, when Anna speaks, we want you to ask questions. We want you to get involved. We want you to comment. Jen is ready to tell us, let us know when questions are coming in. As Anna speaks, whatever comes up in you, feel free to ask and get explanation if you need it. And other than that, we are here. Thank you for having us.
Thank you for having us.
So, KatyeAnna shares a steady stream of consciousness with 967 plus souls. 76. I'm dyslexic too. 76 souls.
Are you really?
I am.
Yeah.
That collectively are known as Anna.
Mm-hmm.
And tonight, KatyeAnna has agreed to do a whole hour with us, with Anna, sharing Anna's knowledge, what she knows, what's coming, what's going, what happened, why things happened, and how we can move through 2019 with ease and grace.
Good luck with that.
I know, right? Now, my sister always says it's nice to know how I know the people I'm interviewing. Anna and I met in Circle back in 2013. So I have been working with KatyeAnna.
Probably 2014.
2014. I have been working with KatyeAnna and Anna since then. There were a lot of things that people in my life had no idea about, but in that circle, and anybody who was in that circle knew that I was struggling with things.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to take the opportunity to thank you and your team and all those wonderful souls have helped me get to where I am today, and I'm on a path of joy and happiness. There were quite a few times I didn't think I'd ever get here, so thank
Kept
you.
coming back.
I did keep coming back.
And you did the work.
I have been doing the work.
Yeah.
Yes.
All the wisdom in the world is just wisdom. But if you don't use it and apply it to your life, it's just information.
Yeah. Action.
Action.
Take action. So, KatyeAnna, would you like to say some things to our viewers before you invite Anna in?
It's been a journey, that's for sure. It's been a heck of a journey. People ask me how I got here. It wasn't a plan, let me tell you. Well, no, that's not true. It was a plan. It was a plan of my soul.
Mm-hmm. When did you become aware of that plan?
Well, I became aware of Anna, maybe who I knew as Anna about 20 years ago.
Okay.
But they didn't start speaking through me till 2013 because I wasn't ready. I had to prepare myself. I had to prepare my body to take in that kind of energy through a lot of different activations. Metatron activation was one. Metatron fire. I had a flame thing happen to me, activation. Some would say it was Holy Spirit flame came through my heart. So it was many years in getting ready. And then one morning I woke up and I had a client coming and I texted her and said, how about if we do a phone session? And she said, no, I want to do in person. And I texted Alan and I said, I need you to be here for the session. And he said, Kate, you've never asked me to be there for a session. I said, don't ask me questions, just be here. Because that morning I woke up and I knew that my life was never going to be the same again. And it hasn't.
It's been a journey.
It's been a journey. It's been a journey. And a lot of students that I had back then, it really shook them up.
Mm-hmm.
When Anna first started coming in, it really shook them up. I had to, even this light is a lot for my eyes, but when Anna comes in, it's just so bright. And so after I would come back, my eyes would really hurt. My eyes would really hurt. It was a lot of that's the
Ice machine.
ice machine.
I can remember you having to wear sunglasses.
I had to wear sunglasses. They had a fan on me all the time
Mm-hmm.
because I would overheat. You know, and Anna
I have a
Smith-
recorded heart mind where you were working with me, of course, and Anna had them turn the air conditioner off. Or no, Alan had him turn it off because he was freezing. And then halfway through mine, you're like, "Woo! It's so hot here. Can we get I need air."
That must have been Anna speaking.
And somebody said, and Alan was like, "Well, I'm cold," and you said, "Put a sweater on."
Is that your Anna impersonation?
It was hilarious. I have a better one. That was kind of off the top.
Oh, you have one?
I do. Greetings.
Oh, that's pretty good.
Let it go, greetings.
You know, as many of you know, there was about a period of 2 months this summer when Anna was not speaking through me.
Mm-hmm.
And I tried to make that voice come out.
And you couldn't?
I could not, to save my soul. I couldn't. I would try, and I was like, oh my gosh, I could not make myself do it.
Well, I mean, when Anna comes in, the voice changes, the face changes. I mean, it's very interesting.
I suppose. Yeah, I suppose.
How did you feel when you would hear the recordings of Anna and how the voice changes?
The first ones, I was worried about how my family was going to handle Anna,
Mm-hmm.
my grandchildren especially.
Mm-hmm.
They knew Grandma was different, but now, wow.
She's
Grandma
really
was
different.
And my mom, you
Mhm.
know. And even on Facebook, I still have some of that, you know, because I know some relatives are sneaking a peek here, you know, and they're traditional Christians and everything. And so I definitely still struggle a little bit with it, being so different with it.
Are you nervous about tonight?
Am I? Oh, yeah.
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 Yeah. This is like Anna's coming out.
Yeah, you're the first one that is going to interview. A lot of people have said they wanted to,
Mm-hmm.
but they never followed through. And I guess you and Lloyd ganged up on me and said it's time. And it is time because they have a lot to share.
Yes, they do.
One thing that I've learned with Anna is what happens is they come up with the concepts. You know, like you talked about the last chapter in the unraveling.
Mm-hmm.
That's all Anna.
Right.
And they come up with the teachings, the 3 spiritual keys and everything. And then I ground them and teach them.
Mm-hmm.
And in that way, and because we do share a steady stream, they're always, you know, here, you know, it's, Carolyn Mace calls it spiritual schizophrenia.
Okay.
Hearing voices that nobody else hears, you know? And I happen to hear 976 plus all the angels I hear, plus all the people who are birthed in the spirit that pop in, you know, so it's yeah.
Now, do you actually hear the voice or is it thought transmission?
Both.
Both?
Yeah,
Okay.
both. Yeah.
And when you see, what do you see?
Oh, you mean when I merge with them?
Mm-hmm.
It's so beautiful. It's so beautiful, you know, and the way they see us is different. They don't see us as physical beings, and so they see us, really see us, and it's just so much light. It's indescribable. But it's beautiful. It's beautiful. It's
They see us as beings of light.
yes, yeah. They
see light
when
bodies.
And when I do my readings with, you know, whether it's my voice or Anna's voice, that's what I see. I look at the light. I look
That's
at
what I was just
I
going to
look
ask.
at all the different vibrations. I look at, you know, the energy, the chakras, the energy of you.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
why you can read somebody across the country.
Yeah.
You don't have to see them. Yeah.
And everybody gets terrified of the chair of love. We call it the hot seat.
I've never understood that. I really, sometimes I get hurt by that.
You know what? You shouldn't be hurt. Because if they were truly terrified, they wouldn't be there to sit in that seat. All it's about is, I know for me, I can speak for me.
People call it the hot seat.
Though I would
get it.
laugh and I call it the hot seat, but I couldn't wait to get there because I knew what I needed to work on was going to come out.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what it's all about.
And nothing ever comes out though that you're not ready to deal with.
Right.
You know, I had a therapist when I was 38 years old push me over the edge.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm always really careful. The angels always show me a teacup if someone's really fragile.
Mm.
And that's always my sign to be very gentle and not to push.
Mm-hmm.
You never had the teacup.
I was ready.
Yeah, you were ready.
By the time I got to you, I was ready to go.
Yeah. Or you wouldn't have kept coming back.
Exactly. Exactly.
So, would you like me to
I think it's
say
time.
adios?
I think it's time.
All right, so we had to give Katie a little bit of a pep talk here. As she said, she's a little nervous.
Mm-hmm. Understandably.
Well, we don't really understand why.
Even though she shares a steady stream of consciousness with you, she's still in the human form.
This is true.
So
She's always reminding us.
So she
yes.
still experiences a lot of those emotions
Yes,
that
she's
come
always
with
saying,
being in the physical.
Anna, you just don't remember what it's like to be in a physical body.
Exactly.
And deal with other humans.
Yes.
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 And she still has an ego,
Mm-hmm.
unlike us.
Yes, it's easy. Working with you all, and working with Katie, that's the biggest difference. Is the lack of ego when we sit with you.
Well, we don't filter like Katie does.
Mm-hmm.
We're known for pretty much, would we say it in love?
Yes, you do. You do.
I don't think anyone would ever say that we have not spoken in love.
No, you definitely do, and you have a great sense of humor.
Now, we've shocked people already.
Yes.
And sometimes they don't expect to come out of our mouths, but comes out.
And sometimes people just need clarity. We call it a truth bomb. You drop a little truth bomb, and then you kind of let people sit with it. They get upset because they don't know the rest of it yet. With further explanation, then they're like, oh.
We haven't heard this word before.
You haven't heard truth bomb?
No. Is this a Judaism?
No.
Morgan literally
I was
just
gonna say.
commented on something else and said something else, the truth bomb, about the chair of love.
Yes, Morgan and I, yeah, that's a term that we have used.
All right.
Yeah. So, normally in these interviews that we do, first of all, thank you for agreeing to be interviewed with us.
Well, we actually like to talk.
Yes, you do.
Yes. Yes.
Normally in these interviews, one of the first questions we ask is, where were you born and raised? That's
Well,
kind of
we
impossible for you all, right?
Having thousands upon thousands of lives. We've been in Egypt. We've been in, good Lord, Atlantis. We've been in the pyramids. We've been in London. We've been in all over the planet and many different dimensions within the planet. So yes, it'd be, unless you want to take the whole evening doing that.
That's what Jen said. Woo, that'll take the whole night.
Yes.
Okay, so how did you choose Katie to share your steady stream of consciousness with?
Well, her soul actually agreed to do this. As Katie found out this summer, you've heard her say before that it took her soul 71 incarnations, 72, to get a personality who would do this.
Mm-hmm.
And Katie finally asked us a question that Katie had never asked us. Well, Anna, what happened to the other 71? And we told Katie that they all died trying. Now, when you think of, for many of you, you don't even understand reincarnation. Reincarnate, you come back, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so you think of it as you die in 1812, you come back in 1872. You think of reincarnation linearly.
Mm-hmm.
And reincarnation is not linear. The soul can choose to incarnate in any era, any location, any time frame. And so Katie's soul kept having these reincarnations in and around the year 1952 to be a part of the shift. And so Katie found her way to this.
Okay.
Did that answer the question?
That did answer the question. So, since it was a soul agreement, then
Yes.
you have been with her since birth. Since
Yes,
Katie,
yes,
Darlene, Mummer.
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, yes. Now that said, we were not in her consciousness. She had enough trouble with all the angels and everyone that were hanging around her. Remember, when you're born, you can all humankind can see.
Mm-hmm.
And so Katie saw angels and talked to angels and saw people who were, you call them dead, we call them birthing into spirit, in spirit form.
Mm-hmm.
And so she had enough trouble acclimating that to her physical life, as most of you do.
Yes.
Because by the age of, 9, 10,
Mm-hmm.
little ones start pushing angels and the world of spirit back to the confines of their mind. And it's a sad thing, isn't it?
It's very sad.
You don't teach intuition. You don't teach imagination.
No.
Why is it that you don't?
I personally, it's one of those things, like we say in the book, it's just been done that way. We learn from our parents who learn from their parents, and that's the way it's been for eons.
For thousands of years,
Yeah.
yes. And so, referring to the book, The Unraveling, it's a good thing that it's happening. You know, in the shift, again, Katie's soul wanted to be a part of the shift, as does your souls.
Yes.
Or you wouldn't be talking to us now. And so the shift occurred back in 2012. Before that, there were many years of getting ready, the convergence years. But from 2012 to about 2038 or so, there's going to be a lot of major shifts on your planet. And this is going to affect, we like to say, the Earth's going to rumble and governments are going to, tumble.
Okay. We'll get into more of that a little bit later. I do have a question.
Is that a little heavy?
No. It's great.
All right.
But I still have some foundational questions, we'll call
All
them.
right, foundational question.
What is the difference between a steady stream of consciousness and channeling?
Oh, humans in your channeling. Your egos are so small. You insist that you're channeling instead of connected to a higher source
Okay.
consciously. And so channeling, those who call it channeling, do so because they don't want to affirm that they are connected to a steady stream of consciousness.
Okay, so there's no difference. It's just a different term?
Yes,
Okay.
we would say so. Except, no. Remember in the beginning how Katie didn't remember what we said?
Yes.
A lot of channelers don't.
Okay.
Okay? And so that's not a steady stream of consciousness, is it?
No, because then they're not conscious of what's
right.
going on.
So Katie's
Gotcha.
still in here and is listening and has pretty good recall of what's being said.
Yes.
Most channelers do not.
Okay.
Does that
That makes perfect sense.
make sense to you, Jennifer?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, do they know Jennifer's here?
They do, yes. They know that Jennifer is the one that makes it all happen. I'm just the face. I sit and ask the questions. She does everything else.
You still play small, don't you?
Maybe
Without
from,
the voice.
from time to time.
Without the voice, the person behind the camera could not do what she does.
Okay.
You need each other, do you not, to succeed?
We do. We are a team.
That's our third thing.
It is a divine collaboration.
Yes, yes. We like that term very much so.
Okay, so with that clarification, are there other teachers out there that share a steady stream of
Of
consciousness?
course.
Yeah.
Jesus, the Ascended Masters. You can. The names are endless. We're
Buddha?
just one group.
One group. A large group.
A very large
A very
group
large group.
who have determined we're not going to reincarnate on Earth, and so we're reconfiguring ourselves in the higher planes of consciousness, because in the end we're all swimming back to the source which sent us out eons ago to experience consciousness.
So you are all souls that have had physical lifetimes.
Yes, yes. Absolutely. We're not angels.
Okay.
You do know the difference.
Yes.
What's the difference?
Angels have not had physical lifetimes.
Right. Now they can appear in a physical body and do these things, but they do not have the desire, nor do they want to live as humans.
Okay, and we have a lot of new people to spirituality, I guess you would say, awakening. So what's the difference between your group of souls and the Ascended Masters?
Well, that's a good question. For one, we'll talk about Katie's buddy, Saint Germain. You know that just trips her trigger, doesn't it?
Yes, it sure does.
Saint Germain had many physical lives, but Saint Germain is one soul.
Okay.
Saint Germain has not recombined. Perhaps he still has some ego left. We're just kidding. Of course he doesn't. He's no longer in physical form. But yeah, it's one
soul,
one
not a
soul.
collective.
We are a collective, and there's other collectives. Yes. You've heard of the Michael teachings.
Yes.
Michael is a group of souls that have reconfigured themselves.
Okay.
And we do this because we love Mother Earth and we love humankind, and we simply want to help. We help create the mess.
Okay. So you're taking responsibility.
Well, isn't that what we teach you
That
all
is
supposed
what you
to
teach
do?
us. Absolutely. We have a question.
Sarah wants to know, people don't die and become angels, right?
Correct. People do not die and become angels. They become, what's confusing to people is they become angelic light. And it comforts people to think that their loved ones become angels. Now, their loved ones continue consciousness. And one of the things that's very special about Katie, without us, is that she's able to travel to these different places within what she calls God, and she can talk about it and describe it in detail. And so, no, people do not birth into spirit and become angels.
Okay. So, Jennifer's father, Alan,
Yes.
when he birthed into spirit, he became an Ascended Master.
Yes.
How did that happen?
Through a lot of hard work from Alan Cepheus. His intention, when him and Katie met, he was very clear that he was on what he called the ascension path, and that is dealing with the Ascended Masters. And so every day he would get up and he would meditate. He would say different discourses. When he would go to sleep, he would meditate and he would say different discourses, and then he would travel out to the etheric temples of the Masters. And so his was the path of the Masters. And Alan Cepheus said for many years that he would be much more useful without a physical body. Now, those who love him may not agree with that, but he's still teaching, is he not?
He absolutely is.
And you were there when he burst into spirit.
I was.
He did it his way, didn't he?
He certainly did.
He decided when and where. Now, those doctors almost screwed it up.
Right. But Katie took care of that.
Katie took care of that. And that was all Katie.
Yes. Katie
Yes.
took care of that.
Yes.
So he is now known as Ascended Master Cepheus.
Yes, he's the weaver of light.
Yes.
Yes.
The
yes,
healer
we know
of
him.
healers.
Excuse us?
The healer of healers.
Healer of healers, yes. And it happened that he just didn't do that in one lifetime.
That's what I was going to ask.
His soul kept coming back and redefining himself. And Katie was kidding earlier about his relationship with Johnny.
Yes.
But Alan gave great service to Johnny as Johnny was birthing into spirit. He went outside of himself to take care of his brother.
So that leads to, they talk about karma and righting the wrong as being part of the ascension path.
Well,
Is that accurate?
You again, you know, humans, even we have to use words, and we're limited by the language that we have to use. And so karma, what does it mean? It means that what we teach is that when you birth into spirit, you take into the energy bank goes what you've created. So if you have lived a life of service and love and joy, that goes to your soul's energy bank. But if you've been a knucklehead and lived in the shadows, that also goes. And so, let's say you did something horrific in your life. That is going to have to be a part of your soul's energy bank in coming back. Because the soul understands that what is created on earth can only be transformed on earth.
Okay. So it was interesting. I was having a conversation with my daughter a couple weeks ago, who just turned 14. She's a seer, but it scares her. It's different, so she has blocked it out. But she was open this night, so we're having this conversation, and she started to ask me about reincarnation.
Wonderful,
yes,
right?
It was great. And so I started to talk to her about reincarnation, and
Katie didn't know about anything about reincarnation until she was about 40. Had never heard the word.
no.
Had never heard the word, never had the concept of it. No.
I have to be honest with you, the only reason I did was because of Shirley MacLaine. She was
Oh,
the
isn't
actress,
she a
yes.
wonderful? Yes,
She's
does
the only reason I knew anything about it.
Yes.
So I explained to my daughter about these things, and I was talking to her about vibration. That whatever vibration your soul holds, your body holds when you birth into spirit, is what it carries to in the
Right.
afterlife.
Yes.
We called it heaven.
Heaven is all right.
Just
Use
so that-
whatever word you want to describe it. Yes.
So we talked about, coming back, and then you work on those things, and you get to another vibration. And then back, and I kept explaining it as vibration, and moving your vibration, getting higher and higher as you healed these things in these lifetimes. And she looked at me and she said, "Mom, so this whole thing is like a video game." I said, "What are you talking about?" Nope.
Katie used to get so mad when she was this is a damn game.
She said,
It becomes, yes.
She said, because in these video games, when
Yes.
you die, you get to come back and you learn from the lifetime before.
Yes.
You get further and further, and the final stages in these video games is ascension.
Isn't that amazing?
So I was like, that is absolutely right. So,
Well, but that said, we still think that parents should limit the amount of time that children are using, because the brains are not wired for all this input.
Mhm.
And so your children are being inundated. You are living in the age of information,
Yes.
and it's instant.
Yes.
30, 40 years ago, it wasn't even instant.
No.
And now it's instant, and within minutes you're out there rambling about something that happened. And you think you can multitask, and you don't.
No.
And so the brain's going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, and you're rewiring, your children are being rewired, and not in a healthy way.
Not in a healthy way.
And so, what do they call it? Jennifer, you have one. What's in your hand? The telly, the
Cell phone.
cell phone. They're not babysitters.
Hmm.
Do you understand what we mean by that?
Yes.
Nor is the TV. They're not babysitters.
So what's your recommendation? Everybody bases things recommendation on hours of screen time in a day.
10 minutes? No,
10.
we're kidding. We're kidding. It's per person, really.
Okay.
But children should not have 5-6 hours. If they're 3, 4, 5 years old, they shouldn't have more than 2 hours on the telly
Okay.
and the electronics and everything.
Well, a lot of the schools had transitioned to telephones, iPads. That's what they're doing their classwork on.
Well, maybe they'll be smarter than some of the teachers.
Maybe.
We're not belittling teachers. We know they work very hard, and they're also bound by the rules and regulations.
Yes.
But the teachers are, as we speak about in the book, they're more focused on teaching about how to take a test than how to be creative and how to think out of the box.
Now, I don't disagree with you, but I was a teacher myself.
So you approve of reading, writing, and arithmetic and sitting in a stereo room, a square. Why can't you at least make the rooms in a circle and do jumping jacks every 10-15 minutes?
I don't disagree with that. I was a phys ed teacher. I don't disagree with that
Well,
at
what
all.
are you going to say? Well, you disagree.
I'm going to say there are many teachers out there that absolutely believe what you are saying.
But then why are they not doing it?
Because the powers that be above them are making these rules and regulations, and funding for schools is based on test scores.
So how do you change it?
There are people out there opening their own schools. Private schools are doing it differently. It's gradually shifting. Education is shifting now.
Well, and it changes when people say "not in my world."
Okay,
When
not
they
in my
no longer,
world.
you know that we teach that you cannot change anything by going into the shadows.
Right.
If you're doing this, you're going against something. That is not the way to get change on your planet. It doesn't work. No peace, no lasting peace has ever been come from war, right?
Right.
And so when you change the school system, it is when parents demand that their children are taught in a different way.
And that is what...
And they do that in love, not in, education is powerful. And by education, we mean that when you educate someone to why something should be different.
Mm-hmm.
And that takes divine collaboration and the spirit of cooperation, does it not?
It does. It does. I know, because I have many teacher friends, that they would love for change to occur. But I learned from Katie there's the golden handcuffs.
We were going to say about the golden handcuffs. They're tied to the golden handcuffs.
They are tied to the golden handcuffs.
They don't use their voice in the teacher meetings because they're afraid.
Mm-hmm.
Because, again, they're
Absolutely.
in the box, and if they step out the box, they might lose their job.
Exactly.
Now, isn't that in fear?
Absolutely, it's in fear.
So what are they going to create?
What I'm finding, fear. What I'm finding,
Yes.
what everyone is finding, especially the state of the world now, is the collective conscious is fear-based.
Yes.
It's fear-based, and
You and we were reactive creators,
yes,
not conscious creators. Reactive creator just gets up and they do, follow like a little sheep, and they do, follow like a little robot, until one day they wake up and go, wait a minute. If they're lucky, they wake up. And they go, there has to be a different way, but they don't know what it is.
yes,
There it is.
and there it is. There was, 2012 was the first time I ever had a Reiki session. And that's when I woke up. I didn't know that I woke up. But until then, I would, people say, hey, how you doing? Oh, working to get through the day. That was my standard
Did you
response.
hear your affirmation? Working to get through the day.
Exactly. That was
And
my
you
standard
were
response.
affirming that every day.
Yes.
Again, the planet is going through a great time of unraveling. And many see this as a negative. It is not. The unraveling is occurring to make room for what wants to come in.
Okay,
Now-
so when it's unraveling, what is it doing? It's unraveling and releasing what?
The old outdated.
Okay.
The things that no longer fit in to the conscious creating, because the planet is returning to a state of unity. And so it's unraveling all those old outdated beliefs that say us against them.
Okay.
And
The
that pit
haves
people,
and the have-nots.
and the have-not. Now, the collective currently believes in the haves and have-nots. It
Yes.
could not exist on the earth planes if the collective did not hold it together via their thoughts, via their energy.
Right.
You get how that works, right?
I do understand that.
You
Yes.
want to tell them?
Well, it's when what do you all call it? Not conscious mass, collective mass. I lost the term. But basically, when the
collective. The collective.
feel a certain thing, if they're living from a place of fear, then that's how society lives, from a place of fear.
Yes.
Right now, the movement, the awakening, the shift
The shift.
is about raising the vibration.
Now, the hippies.
The hippies.
Remember the hippies?
Yes.
In the 60s.
Mm-hmm.
They believed the time had come.
Yes.
And there were other generations that had believed the time had come.
Yes.
And things began to unravel. The ladies even took off their
They
bras,
burned their
right?
bras, yes.
So the unraveling happened, right?
So
But
what
what-
happened?
They filled it with the same old, same old.
Oh, okay.
When the tear gases came and the tanks came and the handcuffs came, they got afraid and said, no, I want peace, but not at this cost.
Okay.
But they were going against the system. They weren't creating a new system. You cannot put your energy to the old and expect something new.
Okay. So that goes along with you can't heal something in the same energy in which it's created.
Yes, you've been listening to us, Judy.
Of course I listen. So how do you not do that? How do you not get drawn in? How can our viewers, what are some techniques they can use not to get drawn into
Well,
the
you
fear?
heard us talk about catch and release.
I have heard you, but they may not
All right,
have.
we teach catch and release. You know the swimmer that gets caught up in the riptide
Mm-hmm.
and they keep trying to swim to shore. What happens?
Well, they get tired.
And,
They drowned.
yes, but if the swimmer goes away from it, in parallel, they go away from it,
Mm-hmm.
what happens?
Then they get to shore.
They get out of the
They
current.
get out of the current.
So you have to get out of the energy which has triggered you, which is out of alignment.
Mm-hmm.
You don't swim into it, you get out of it. Once you're out of it, you can go, okay, what just happened to trigger me? What just pushed my button? And we remind you, if you have buttons, whose are they?
Your own.
It's never about the other person.
Never.
And so you move out parallel away, and once you're there, then you can think of what happened. And then you catch it. Once you know, you catch it. And we're a big believer in the angelic forces. Now, have you noticed how many of your teachers are talking about angels these days?
Yes.
Now, Katie was talking about angels 25 years ago when
Yes.
she was known as the angel lady,
Mm-hmm.
when people weren't talking so much about angels. And so the angelic forces are really beaming a lot of their rays upon earth to help you. But you have to ask for that assistance.
That's the big thing, and people
Well,
forget
you
to
didn't
ask.
get the rule book. This is one of the things Katie fusses about. Where's the rule book? Well, we're giving you the
Here,
rule book.
it's coming. Yep.
Angels cannot, even God cannot intervene what mankind has created, nor should God. You know, people pray all the time, dear God, do this, do this, do this. God is not a fairy godfather. You know, and neither are angels. They're not fairy godmothers. Well, angels actually don't have gender, but you consider them as such. So we'll work with that.
That was one of the things that shocked people.
What?
We were in a circle, and Anna, you all said, prayer doesn't do a thing.
Well, what we mean by that, now, maybe we overstate it. A prayer gives people comfort.
Yes.
Prayer allows people connection. But prayer alone does not change anything. When you pray to God or someone to stop what has been created here,
Mm-hmm.
that can't be, because it's been created here. You know, can angels intervene? Yes. You know, we use, it's a different book we're writing, right? Yes. We're writing so much with Katie. Yes, it's the next book, which is Tell Them. And in that we give an analogy of the 9/11 that happened in the United States.
Yes.
And many people heard, stay home. Don't go on that plane. Don't do this, don't do that. But they did not heed those. Angels can try and stop.
Right.
Now, are angels going to be able to prevent a terrorist attack?
No.
Why not?
Because it's the collective conscious that created that vibration to allow it to happen.
And you live on a planet of free will.
Free will.
But what we can say is that many human beings live with this belief that their loved ones birth into spirit and remember the suffering or the panic or the fear. And we want you to know they do not. And that has to do with one of our greatest friends, the angel of death. Now, many of you don't really comprehend the angel of death, do you?
No.
The Grim Reaper and many other
Exactly.
names. It's one of the most, Katie, ask Katie, she'll tell you it's the most beautiful angel she has ever seen. Did we get off the subject matter?
Oh, I think we're. What are you looking at, Jen?
I was trying to remember what the original subject matter was.
Do we have any questions?
So many.
Oh, well, come on.
I was raising my hand, but then I got caught up.
I'm sorry.
Morgan wanted to know, for those of us who get...
Morgan likes a lot of questions.
Morgan, she asked a lot of questions. She's wonderful.
For those of us who get the glimpses of the future and what it could become, will it instill more fear in the world to know? Should we share it, or should we work behind the scenes and help those who are brought to us?
Oh my. Your job as a light worker, you call yourselves light workers, do you not?
We do.
But you don't really understand how to work with the light.
No.
No. And so, Miss Morgan, when you get a glimpse into the future, remember it's a snapshot. And it's not in cement. Because you live in a time of great shifts, it's happening very fast, and so you see these snapshots. Why would you put out that snapshot of fear? Your job as a teacher is to educate without bringing fear.
Okay.
Now, we say you've heard us say for years that the storms are going to get stronger, the fires are going to get more severe, Earth is going to rumble.
Mm-hmm.
This is not to instill fear. This is to help humankind understand that they must eradicate fear. And so to answer your question, Morgan, anything that causes fear, stay out of it.
All right.
Okay, Karen asks, how many years will the unraveling take, and will this time be different than the hippies in the 60s?
Well, it's already different, is it not?
It feels different to me.
Katie was really excited this morning. The Donald.
Oh, what did the Donald do?
Well, he did something wonderful. He actually, what do you call it? He cooperated with the Democrats.
Oh.
And they created this bipartisan bill, that's the word you use, that are going to release a lot of people from prison earlier. Now, this was made possible because of the unraveling.
Okay.
And we tell you, many of you thought that the end of the world was coming when the Donald was voted in. You went into fear and shock. But the unraveling had to happen to get you off your, out of your complacency.
Yes.
Humankind has been complacent. You watch your brothers and sisters suffer, and all you do is shout about it. This is one of our teachings that isn't very popular or perhaps even understood, that we say it is far better to meditate than to demonstrate.
Yes.
Now, your marches, we understand, give you a sense of getting it out, and you have been choked and you swallowed in so much that you want any opportunity to spit it out. But if you're not collaborating in love, you're going to feed the very thing that you want to eradicate.
And that's what people don't understand.
That's what people don't understand. A young mother just asked us a week or so ago, she said, my daughter wants to go to the march. And Katie said, does your daughter understand what she's marching for? And the mother said, I think I need to go to give her this experience. And Katie said, well, if that's how you feel, but also remember that the experience you're giving her is going against the current. And the other things, oh my, we have so much education to do.
Yes,
you hold these rallies in a second plane consciousness in Washington, D.C.
Mm-hmm.
There's other planes on the earth that you could hold a rally and have a much greater chance of being in love.
Okay.
Give people a chance when you sing those songs. And of course, singing Kumbaya, you cannot just sing Kumbaya and think you're going to get the world different.
Right.
That's with some of the problems with the hippies. They sang a lot of good songs, but they had more of an idea and didn't truly understand that each one of you, to eradicate something, it begins with you.
That's exactly
And
what
see,
I was
if
gonna
you
ask.
see a world where there are haves and have-nots, you're holding that vibration. If you don't see it, it's not in your box, correct?
Yes. So, are you telling people to turn a blind eye?
Complacency, no. We're not saying turn a blind eye. Never. No, 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 no.
Okay. So, how do we?
We're saying when a situation presents itself and it's not in alignment with love,
Mm-hmm.
you ask yourself, what is the experience I want to create?
Okay.
And then you don't put your energy into what's created in the shadows. You go over here and put your time and your energy, your thoughts into creating what you do want. How many of you sit every day in joyful celebration of love?
I think very few.
But how many of
There
you
are
sit
more and
every
more.
day in worry? And both worry and sitting in using your imagination for love, both are using your imagination.
Yes.
Both.
Yes.
Which one's productive?
Love.
Yes.
And Katie used a perfect visual for me. We were with her Friday night, and what she said was, worry. When you worry, it's like blowing on the embers of a fire. The situation that you don't want to happen, if you send worry to it, it ignites the fire and ensures it will happen. Whereas if you,
And so, one of the questions was, how long is this unraveling going to happen? It's going to keep intensifying over the next 10 years or so. What will that take us into?
10 years will take us into 2028.
2028. About that time, and we want you to understand that even during the unraveling, great things are going to occur.
Okay.
Just like what the Donald just did. No one would expect him to do something like that.
Right. So the biggest thing we need to remember is, as the unraveling occurs, we have to make sure we don't fill the empty space with the same junk that we just got rid of.
Yes, you want to. The unraveling is it's spitting out what doesn't belong there,
Mm-hmm.
what doesn't belong in your own personal lives. You have to take responsibility for that, and so it creates this hole, for a lack of a better word, for you to put something new in,
Mm-hmm.
and that's where you sit in joyful celebration of what you want to create. Yes, Jennifer, what do you want?
Will wants to know both how do we teach those that won't listen.
You can't.
Okay.
Will, is that the will?
That's our will.
That's our will.
Will, darling, why would you even try? That's just wasting your energy.
Mm-hmm.
And how does one deal with those that fear love?
He asked that question?
Uh-huh.
You know the answer, don't you?
With
love.
With love.
With love. You know, those of you who sit on your thrones thinking you're so spiritual, your opportunity comes to understand how spiritual you are when someone hits you in the head with the lessons that are in fear.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you try and jump in there thinking you can change them, do you remember the young woman that was very upset with us when we told her to throw her mother off the ship?
Yes.
Well, again,
That again needed more explanation.
throw them off the ship.
Yes.
Well, this young mother came to a group wanting to know how to love her mother-in-law.
Yes.
She was living with her.
Mm-hmm.
And we told her, well, don't worry about loving her, throw her off the ship.
Yes, because you use the analogy of the Titanic.
Yes.
When the ship was going down, were you one staying on the ship and allowing everybody else onto the life raft?
Well, it's also better to throw people overboard and give them the chance of survival instead of pulling your hate upon them, because that's toxic. Your hate and your anger is toxic. So throw them overboard actually gives them a chance to survive.
Yes.
And you too.
Yes.
And remember, we teach this, it takes far more courage to go on the life raft than it does to go down with the ship. And people, a lot of you, every one of us included, went down with the ship more lifetimes than not. Because it takes a lot of courage to get on that life raft, because you never know where it's going to go.
Right.
Or even if it's going to reach shore. And if it does, where is it going to take you?
Right.
Especially when your loved ones have gone down with the ship. And this is something many of you are experiencing right now. In our second, this other book that we're working on about the 7 planes of consciousness, we talk about the different planes of earth consciousness. And a second plane consciousness is dogma, the rules, the old outdated beliefs, I have to belong, your religions. Aren't your religions in trouble right now? Maybe
Very
we
much
shouldn't
so.
talk about religion.
Maybe not, but they are in. There are, as you
Well,
you had said 2 years ago that truths were going to surface because they had to.
Yes.
They had to come out of the shadows so that they can be acknowledged, cleared, and healed.
Yes.
Well, honey, that is happening at a rapid pace, and it's happening everywhere. And
But
religion
have you
is a
seen
huge
though
one.
that then the polar opposite is happening? Your churches that are thriving are the ones that preach damnation and hell, because many people want to be told the rights and wrongs and not have to think about it for themselves.
There has been, at least in this area, an uprising of non-denominational, is what they call themselves. Non-denominational churches that receive everyone, and all they do is preach that God is love.
Yes, isn't that wonderful?
It is wonderful.
Now, do they accept everyone?
They do.
They don't want to change you?
They.
You
I mean,
want
there
to
may
check,
be some
you
out
might
there,
want to check
but-
the fine print on some of them.
I don't go to church. That's a choice.
You
Everywhere
Jimmy,
I am
wait,
is church.
Wait. You just said that with a little bit of shame in you.
No.
It's not shameful not to
No.
go to church, because you're very spiritually connected. You know, it's one thing to go and listen to a preacher every week tell you what to do and how to be, and it's another to be a free thinker and think for yourself about what is the way of love. So don't be embarrassed to say you don't. Katie stopped going to church regularly about 38 years ago. Now, isn't it funny? The preacher man came into her life now. Talk about the universe having a sense of humor.
Certainly does.
Yes. Yes.
Any other questions?
Not at the moment.
Not at the moment. Okay, so can we go back to meditate, don't demonstrate.
Yes. What would you like
So
to
your
know?
first suggestion was, how about we not rally in Washington, D.C.?
Right. you're
Because
going
it's second
into-
plane consciousness.
That's very dense energy
Based in fear.
based in fear.
Based in fear.
So you're like going into the very thing you want to change.
Right.
Again, and again, we understand people's desire to gather,
Mm-hmm.
the collective, you know, and they think that the loudest voice is going to create the change. Not true. What creates change on the earth planes of consciousness is when enough people stop sending it energy. It's that simple. And so we're not talking about complacency. People misunderstand our teachings. We're not saying to do nothing. We're saying to shift into a consciousness where you go and you gather together with 100 friends, and during that time you go into a meditative state of just nothing but love. Now, it's very hard for humankind to do that.
Mm-hmm.
How long can you sit in an energy field of nothing but love until you're thinking about your problems?
Thinking about the grocery list, thinking about everything that needs to be done.
Again, why is this
Yeah.
not taught to children in school? How to sit in silence
Right.
and just be in that love.
Yeah.
Did not your Master Jesus go out and sit
Yes.
alone and meditate
He did.
and connect and fill up? That's the other thing. Most of you are you're running on empty.
Mm-hmm. People don't know. You don't know how many clients sit across from me that I ask, what brings you joy? And they don't have an answer.
And of course, you know, we say follow the joy.
Follow the joy. They have to find it first. A lot of people have lost it. And I was in their shoes. You know, I had a beautiful daughter, and blah, and you know, blah,
Well, you
blah, blah,
still
blah.
have a beautiful
I do.
daughter.
But at that time, I was numb. Somebody
Well,
asked me my joy, I'd be like,
Remember
Maddie is my
Katie
joy.
says about how in the Unraveling she wrote about Brigadoon.
Yes.
And many of you are too young to understand Brigadoon. But you're like the people of Brigadoon. Brigadoon was a group of people who made an agreement that they would go to sleep and they would wake up, but 100 years would go by. But they would wake up and live their life like it was only 10 hours of sleep. But the world around them kept changing. They would wake up and do the same old, same old. Unbeknownst to all of you and us when we were on Earth, we became the people of Brigadoon. And the belief of the people of Brigadoon was that if anyone left the boundaries of Brigadoon, they would all perish.
And that was the
And
belief.
no one tried it out.
So no one tried.
Now that was maintained by fear.
Right.
And yet the world kept changing. But the people of Brigadoon stayed the same. And sadly, you are the people of Brigadoon. And what's happening now with the unraveling is you are now stepping out of the box. And you're realizing that nothing holds you back except your beliefs. Now we say except because you have to believe it to create it.
Right. Right.
You
Now,
have to have a concept before you can.
one of the hardest pills to swallow in my healing was in the beginning when I had to realize that I created my reality.
That's very hard because many times people will say, "Are you blaming us for the cancer?" No, of course not. No one ever consciously creates cancer. Every disease known to mankind is there because of an unconscious process.
Mm-hmm.
And so no one ever sets that. Your predisposition for disease is actually activated before you're 13 years old. And that is based on your vibrational signature and your emotions. And so in your energy field, there's certain patterns, frequencies that are in your field and that are activated if you have an experience.
Okay. All right.
We confuse many listening.
Okay.
We don't
So
mean
it's
to
there,
confuse.
depending on the experiences you choose through free will,
Yes.
they will be activated or they won't.
Yes.
Okay.
And if it's in your energy field, the soul has also placed the thing that will heal it.
Ah, that's good to know. Huh. Okay. Wow.
We like when we see light bulbs go off.
Yeah. Wow. That's heavy. Nice. Made me lose my train of thought then.
Well, in using your daughter's analogy, every time she plays the game, she has more awareness.
Yes.
And she has some leftover points
Mm-hmm.
that add up, right?
Yes.
That she can go in and use.
Mm-hmm.
It is actually, your daughter is very wise.
She is very wise.
Because she's exactly right.
Yeah.
It's just like the games that they play.
Yeah.
And with on the soul level, the soul has an energy bank. So if you learn compassion the last lifetime, that's already in your bank and it will be activated.
So when you incarnate, you come with that.
You
in
come
there.
with certain
You come with
qualities,
certain-
soul qualities already there.
Okay.
The soul chooses the life plan.
Okay.
And if you're here during the time of the shift, you're all old souls. You know, young souls aren't coming to this planet anymore.
Okay. All right.
They figured
That
out
makes
that
sense,
it's
yeah.
not a planet that it's easy to be on
Right.
because it's just gone haywire. And this is not because God does not care. God sent us all forth as sparks of itself and said, go forth and experience consciousness. And so God is experiencing consciousness through each one of you. And so you think that the situation is void of God, but it cannot be.
Right. So it's created by the collective conscious. So it has to be the collective conscious that shifts it back to a place of love.
And it starts one person at a
At a
time.
time.
It starts right at the person looking in your mirror.
So as people are moving through this crazy chaotic energy and they don't understand these feelings and emotions that are coming up,
eradicate fear.
and replace, once you've unraveled and you create that space, you need to fill it with love,
Joy and happiness.
joy and happiness.
You know, someone recently asked Katie, some of her students, their houses were very close to the fire, and they said, should we send angels into the fire? Should we send energy into the fire? And Katie said, no. If you're not caught up in that experience, what the rest of you need to do is raise the vibration of joy, peace, and love.
Mm-hmm.
So when they're finished with that experience, you're there to hold them up.
Okay.
To help your neighbor. Remember, you can all only succeed together. This is why we speak about divine collaboration and the spirit of cooperation.
So the 3 spiritual keys. You've been teaching the 3 spiritual
Converge
keys.
in love.
Converge in love. If you can't do it from a place of love, don't do it.
Don't put your energy to it.
Okay.
Second key is take responsibility for your thoughts, and then your emotions are the fuel.
Okay.
So a thought happens. If it's not in alignment with love, you catch it, release it.
Okay.
And key 3, you can only succeed together. And succeeding together means through divine collaboration and the spirit of cooperation.
And that means calling on your divine team.
Yes.
Your non-physical team as well as your physical community.
You've been listening.
Yes, ma'am.
And yes, ma'am. But yes.
Ma'am and sirs.
Ma'am and sirs. All right. Seriously now. Yes, you all are born incarnated with a team. You all come in on a certain energy ray.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like Katie very much came in on the Oriole rail, which is pink and love, heart center, Christ consciousness.
Mm-hmm.
But you all have angels. If you could only see what happens when a child is born, you're so busy looking at the outward thing, but there's angels all around. And we would love someone to take every infant and hold them up and say, no greater gift than this has ever been born. And that should be on every birth certificate.
Yes.
And every child should see that every day. Now some people say, well, you're giving them a false sense of who they are. No. All of you, and we were too, you were born to be magnificent.
Would you like that to be your last message to our viewers? That we are all born magnificent? Or do you have a few more words of wisdom before we wrap it up?
What would you like?
I wouldn't mind a few more words of wisdom if you would like.
All right. You know, you're all moving into what you call the year 2019.
Yes.
How many of you have heard, what is the song, Should Old Acquaintance, how do the words go?
Should old acquaintance be forgot and
never
brought
to
to
mind?
mind?
What does that mean?
I don't know.
Leave them
behind. Right.
So you have the opportunity as you go into the portal that's opening up when you call it New Year's Eve.
Mm-hmm.
Not to take things with you into that energy. We're telling everyone to go into New Year's Eve, wherever you are in the world, at what you call midnight. And make sure that you're sitting in an energy field of love, of joy, of peace. And how do you do this? It's very simple. Now we know many of you are suffering and this sounds difficult, but gratitude is one of the most amazing qualities you have. So even those of you who are suffering and you don't see a way out of your box, you have free will to at least begin to say, all right, thank you for this crap load of stuff I've been offered.
Yeah.
But in saying thank you, and in saying thank you, and saying thank you, it begins to raise your vibration, and it changes. And this isn't KatyeAnna science. It changes your brain chemistry. So we would tell you as you go into the energy of 2019 to do so in a field of love.
In a field of love.
In a field of love.
And remember,
Oh,
in every experience, there's a lesson to be
you
learned.
can
So
tell
be
them
grateful
this.
for the lesson.
yes, you can tell them this. Well, Katie, we came up with the bright idea that we would do something on New Year's Eve, and
Yes.
Katie nixed it. Because there's many different time zones.
Right.
So what we're doing is we're coming up with a discourse and a brief meditation to help people listen to before they go into 2019.
That is
So if they
excellent.
would like that, how do they get in touch with us? Well, we don't really have that.
They'll get in touch with you through Katie.
All right.
Yeah. Jen will take
Well,
care
Jennifer.
of Jennifer will take care of posting something in the comments.
Yep.
How they can reach out and receive that. That's fantastic. That's a great idea.
And it's free.
And it's free.
Humans like free things, don't you?
We do.
But it's really free. Because a lot of your snake salesmen, your snake oil salesmen, they say something's free
and it's not.
and it's not
And
free.
it's not.
Yes.
KatyeAnna, you're also doing heart mind meditations at Gettysburg at Lloyd and Leslie's shop
On
on New Year's Eve.
New Year's Eve, yes.
Yes, I believe you're doing 2 of them.
Really?
Yeah, because the first one filled up so quickly that they scheduled a second one.
We'll be there. We'll be giving a discourse. We always give an end of the year discourse.
I love it.
You do? You
I
come?
have been. Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Wonderful,
I will not miss it.
wonderful.
I want to thank you so much for thank all of you for being here with us tonight.
You know, we do this because we love humankind. We do this because we believe in each one of you. You know, there's no veil that separates you between the world and spirit. That's such another old outdated belief, that there's a veil that separates you from angels and all those different worlds out there. No. Nothing separates you from love except your fear.
Nothing separates you from love. Fantastic. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. I wish people could feel what I feel when I'm with them.
Yeah.
I think people do sometimes. You know, like when you're close to me, when they're there, you feel their love.
Oh, absolutely.
You know? Hello, Stephen.
Hello, Stephen.
Hello! Love everybody. I'm just trying to sneak in.
So, that was fantastic.
Thank you.
Thank you. I was just going to say, what do we know about this?
Our new book. My granddaughter, Kaylee Grace, was my muse. Because when she, you know, my daughter, who doesn't quite believe in the woo-woo, knows that she sees something that she doesn't see. And so one day when I was holding her, I was like, how do I help her not forget like I had to do, like you had to do? And so this book is about thriving in a changing world and coming up with new beliefs, filling the holes
with new beliefs, yes.
And this book is about shifting into unity consciousness versus separation consciousness, and conscious creating versus reactive creating. And at the end of every chapter there's questions to ask yourself. It's not a big book, but it's packed full.
It's
and
important.
the last chapter is all Anna, and they give pretty good what's coming.
They do. And one of the biggest takeaways I had from it is we're not going back to a place of love. We're moving forward. Portals are opening that have never been here before. We are moving forward to a new world.
They said, and the scientists can confirm this, there's more light coming onto the planet, and the pyramids are finding different things in sacred sites all across the world. Sacred sites are like opening up. New crystals are coming from the ground. You know, it's just amazing what's happening. And this is because of the unraveling.
Yes.
So the unraveling is not a bad thing. It's thriving in a changing world.
How do we move through it staying out of a place of fear, and filling that empty space with love. Right here in this book, it's going to tell you how to do it.
And it's available on Amazon.com. It's also available at New Visions in York, Pennsylvania, and Etheric Connections in Gettysburg, Pennsylvania. Do you sell them at your place?
No, we don't sell materials. We don't
You
sell
don't have
books
a
at
store.
Journeys.
Yeah,
Yeah, we
you
don't have a
don't.
store. We don't have a store.
Why not?
Or because I don't know why.
There's not always somebody there.
I was gonna say,
that's
there's not always
available
somebody
to
there.
handle that part of it.
Yeah.
So anyway, thank you, everybody.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
This was fantastic.
I'm really hot.
You did great. You did great.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you,
We wa-
Judy.
We want to thank everybody for watching and supporting us since we started the show. This is the last one of 2018.
Oh, show them.
Oh, the shirts.
Look at this. The retreat.
I
Oh,
posted about
We're
the
having a
retreat.
retreat in Sedona, Arizona in April.
Mm-hmm.
We go back every April. And Judy made these shirts. This is our logo that they gave me 15, 16 years ago. It's the infinity sign with energy and these beautiful angel wings. And Judy put it right there. And then show what's on the back. Our only directive is to stay open to love. You can have one of these shirts by contacting Judy, right?
Sure. we'll figure it out. We'll make it happen. All right. So thank you all. Have happy, healthy New Year, and Jen and I will be the first show of 2019.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So we'll see what's going to happen then. Thank you. Have a great night. Don't forget you're awesome.